You're listening to the Productive Therapist Podcast, the world's greatest and most brilliant resource for busy therapists who'd rather be laying on a beach in Hawaii. Each episode is packed with simple tips and inspiring insights from the Productive Therapist team to help you grow your practice and have fun doing it. So without further ado, let's help you get more done and have more fun.
Are you losing clients because inquiries slip through the cracks? Simple Intake is an all-in-one mental health CRM. The AI receptionist responds to inquiries in seconds, books consultations 24/7, and keeps your clinicians' calendars full. You can see it in action at productivetherapist.com/simple intake. All right, on to the episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Productive Therapist Podcast. So thrilled that you're listening. I appreciate you very much. So today I got to talk to Greg Goodman, a new friend who's a marketing and web design expert with nearly 2 decades of experience helping therapists grow thriving practices. Through Goodman Creatives, he specializes in creating authentic, client-centered marketing strategies, and he also combines web design, copywriting, and award-winning photography to help therapists stand out in a crowded market. He's passionate about helping the helpers and ensuring more people can find the right therapist to support their growth and healing. This is a fun conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. Hi, Greg. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be here and to chat.
Absolutely. Every time we have a call or a chat or record anything, it's always a good time because we have mutual interests, right?
We do many, and of course, the most relevant one we're talking about today being how to be of service to the mental health world.
Yes, always. That's always the focus.
But of course, I could stare at your background, your Mario brothers, and relive infinite hours of my childhood just from your wall.
Absolutely. That's so cool. I really should spend more time playing Mario right here in my office, but I'm always I'm always working.
I understand. I understand. The
Yes.
classics, though, they're still, debatably the best.
I think so. I think so. It gives me those retro vibes, retro
Ex-
feelings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When things were blocky and not intentionally.
I love a 2D side-scrolling game of any type,
Mhm.
that just brings me right back to my childhood.
People are still making Nintendo games. Like, it's like online. There's like Kickstarter campaigns. People are still actually making like NES games, which I think is so cool in this world of ours.
It is. Like there's trends. Obviously, we're talking about AI today and marketing, but there's trends towards the future and towards more use of technology. And there's also trends that go backwards to analog
Mhm.
methods of doing things. I think they're both pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I was reading an article recently. It was talking about it was surveying 20 somethings, late teens, early 20s. I guess that's Gen Z still. And they were saying that, they wish so much that they grew up in, the analog world, the world where your internet was a place at a desk, not a thing that existed everywhere, where you could leave the house and that, you could not be contacted for better or for worse, but just how much of them who've grown up in this always on social media world just wish that they had our childhood.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Lately, I've been getting into fountain pens and typewriters. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
I'm going
Yeah,
there.
nice quill. You got a little inkwell on your desk. Get the quill pen out.
I have a new fountain pen that has the ink inside the pen, but I do
Cool.
have an ink well, and I have to find whatever pen you use for that. So that'll be a fun little side quest.
For sure. Yeah, I remember in elementary school, we had the quill, like from American History Month or whatever it was, and we had the inkwell
Yeah,
and we dab it and work on our cursive and our calligraphy on paper. Yeah, and there were some core memories right there.
that's awesome. Back when you used to learn cursive in school, right?
Yeah, my Bodhi learns cursive. He came
Oh,
home
really?
writing cursive in third grade. I was like, wow, it
Okay,
exists. It's
that's
not as
good to
easy to
hear.
read as print, but it definitely exists.
That's awesome. I love it. So I have the first question I want to ask you. We're just going to jump right into it
Yeah,
because
let's do
people
it.
will already learn about you from my wonderful intro. Um, So, like I said, we have mutual interests in marketing, AI, and obviously serving therapists. So, I'm curious, like, when did you start to connect the dots and realize, like, that AI was going to be profoundly useful with marketing?
Sure. For marketing in general from day one. Like it was so clearly obvious that like this LLM and when I'm talking about AI, like there's so many versions of AI out there, but like I really focus in on the LLM part of it. Although there is like from marketing, like seeing how the AI can comb the web and do this SEO keyword research and figure out like can analyze the top 10 ranking websites for keywords you're looking for and come up with the 50 to 100 not even like therapist near me type keywords, but I need to use the word um, cognitive 13 times because our competitors on the top 10, the analysis shows that they're using it 12 times, right? Like this type of stuff that, yes, of course a human could do this, but would take like days and days of work without really getting the results to warrant the amount of effort that goes into that research. But when that research can be done in 2 minutes using the AI LLM technology, uh, you know, why not? Like, why would we not use that? So I saw it really early on for Goodman Creatives, and I'm like, this is amazing. I used it to just brainstorm new copy to do that, and also seeing a lot of the pitfalls of it early on as well. So I'm like happy to see as it's evolving, over the past really just 2 years that I've been super, super into it. And what really surprised me most was how much the therapists that I help, the therapists I work with are like, yeah, let's do that. Let's use AI. Because, originally a couple of years ago when I started reading, I was like, oh, I don't know, I got a lot of concerns. And I know there's still a lot of concerns out there, but I'm just, it's great to see the mental health communities, I won't say speak in completes and there's no absolutes, but that for the large part, the folks that I talk to and work with are all for it, as long as it's done ethically and with the right intention and not just like, oh yeah, here I just copied and pasted from AI and plopped it on my website and I didn't fact check it or anything like that.
That's good to hear. Yeah, it seems like marketing is one of the early use cases of AI that is just so obvious. Copywriting, everything
Yeah,
from copywriting to market research, like you said, finding keywords, and oh my gosh, so many
so
applications.
much.
So to kind of counterbalance our chat about the ethical use of AI in marketing for therapists, can you tell me about some examples of unethical use of AI with marketing?
Well, it's not specifically because ethics, I think, are so in the eye of the beholder, right? As
Sure.
thousands of years of philosophers will give you different ethical definitions. But I was preparing this presentation on ethical AI marketing. That's what I called it. So I was like, I have to come up with some kind of concept of it. And I think the biggest ethical concerns with the AI are the way that the language models are taught being often from copyrighted materials, which I don't really approve of. And also just, ethical concerns are the sustainability of it, the massive server farms, the massive amount of
Hmm.
electricity that goes into every single question you ask ChatGPT, every single rewrite, every single token and phrase of text. So there's definitely an ecological drain. So, right, like, what are the ethics of convenience? I mean, this is an age-old question for humanity long before AI, like the convenience of the car, of the Amazon delivery, of the recycling versus just tossing the plastic into the dump, like versus the long-term sustainability of this human existence that we're currently living in. So I think that those are two really big things is like that it's using copyrighted materials, that it's a huge economic drain. And then sort of, whether this falls under the word ethics or HIPAA or PHI, like there's this whole idea of like that what you are putting into ChatGPT, and I'm going to use kind of ChatGPT synonymously like Kleenex or Xerox for all of the LLMs like Claude and Perplexity and DeepSeek and Gemini and all of them, like they're using that to train their model. So if you're putting someone's PHI in there, you are potentially violating HIPAA just by using ChatGPT. So like I think there's a lot of concerns there that I do think are ethical considerations, but also we might have some other words to describe that.
That makes sense. That's helpful, actually. So the ethical considerations are not necessarily ones that are being decisions that are being made by the therapist using the tools, but
Right.
so just more about the context in which, like, all the things that surround that. Yeah.
Yeah, and also too, like then there's the other ethics of like, are you fully transparent in this was written by AI, or this advice, this treatment plan that I came up with? Like as a therapist, I did this with my friend ChatGPT, or whatever, maybe HIPAA compliant app someone's using. So like what are the ethical r- responsibilities there of disclosure of where information comes from? Obviously, AI does not have a code of ethics innately, only it has what it has been trained by the programmer and by its learning. So, is the AI's ethical code, you know, actual code, and like the code itself is like, is that in alignment with your code? Is there even anything like, what is the guiding force? How gray is it? How much will it move the line as it grows and evolves? So these are like other just sort of questions when you think of the word ethics. And like, what are the ethics of the people who are actually training it themselves? Like if you're training a platform or a chatbot or a note, an automated note tool that's going to do something, like what standards is that being held to by the creators? Lots of interesting questions and lots of ways that a conversation about ethics and AI can go. But what I found
Absolutely.
really interesting is sort of like a end to that whole chain of thought was after I presented a lot of this. So I gave this presentation to about 80 different therapists last month. And at the end of it, I just asked a simple question, the Zoom chat, like, all right, based on everything we just talked about, is AI ethical? One yes, two no. And it was almost overwhelming one yes.
Okay.
So despite the understanding and the knowledge of everything I just said, the overall consensus, and anyone watching this, obviously you need to make your own decision, was that it is still ethical in spite of, because of, in the existence of all of these points, which I thought was interesting.
Interesting.
I thought it was going to be far more like people be like two, 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 two. And
Right.
just going back to earlier, I was like, yeah, I've been surprised by the adaptation and the embracement of AI in a good
That's
way.
interesting to hear. Yeah. So have you encountered anyone that you're working with directly or that just that you've come into contact with that has said, I don't want to use AI for
Yes.
my marketing purposes because of XYZ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I have. It's a funny story though. I had a consult with a woman however long ago, and it turned in, we were talking for like an hour, and I was like helping her figure out how she was going to structure her website and all of this. And she's like, at the end, she's like, this is all great, but like, what do I do next? I was like, honestly, ChatGPT, just use it. And I got this look of like, no. Like, I'm like, why? Can we just dive into that for a quick second? I'm genuinely curious. And because she feels that it's, the taking of the jobs, the environmental impact, these like everything I talked about, like she verbatim said those things. And I was like, okay, well, obviously you have to do what's in alignment with you, with your belief structure. And then it was like 5 days later, I got an email from her. There was some expletives in it, which I'll lead off, but she was basically like, she's like, I tried it. It was so good. I hate that you were right. And now she uses it. And like, it's interesting, like this, right? Just as in psychology, like how the ethical, like these hard lines change when all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, actually, this is really making my life easier or better or improving quality of life, giving me more
Right.
time with my family, more time to go do a beach cleanup because I'm not sitting at home trying to write copy for my website for 5 hours on Saturday. Like, again, like this is, I think these are some of the things that the AI, because it's programmed, can't quite grasp its AI brain around. Going back to the whole concept of like, what is the ethical code of the AI itself?
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that story. I think, yeah, when most people have that sort of aha moment when they realize, wow, this is actually a game changer. It's
Hmm.
hard to go back and say like, you know what, I want to do it all manually,
Right.
like using a tractor versus digging with a shovel. You're like,
I
no,
got
once
it.
you experience the tractor, you're not going to dig a ditch by yourself.
Right. But the challenge comes that I feel is like, once you have the tractor, do you still remember how to dig the ditch? Will the next
Sure.
generation even know what a shovel is to dig a
Mm-hmm.
ditch? Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's also, I think, a big challenge moving forward for humanity, really.
Definitely. I have to tell you something funny. This is kind of meta, but so a couple of days ago, I was preparing for this podcast interview, and obviously, I already know you, so I didn't have to do too much. But I went to Claude as I do, and I was starting to do my podcast prep. and Claude was having a server overload, right? And so it
Uh-huh.
said, sorry, we can't help you now. And I was like, oh no. And then that was fine. I knew it was going to come back, but it lasted for like a good 30 to 45 minutes. And so long enough for me to think, do I have to do this manually?
Right.
And it was an interesting moment for me because I was like, oh, okay, I am already very dependent on this.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Happens fast. That's funny though. That's
yeah,
great. Like,
yeah.
what would I do? I got to look at a blank screen and use
I'm
my
like, I have to
keyboard?
think and write. And yeah.
No, yeah,
So let me
that's
ask you this
great.
question. You said you've been really using AI for marketing for the last 2 years or so, and I know you work with a lot of clients who are therapists. What's the biggest shift that you've seen about how practices are actually using AI to get better results? Not just save time, but actually get better, do better marketing.
Um, Specifically in terms of marketing, how they're using it to get better results, I think that there is a lot more with the openness to it that has come. I'm seeing a lot more folks who I speak with who have experimented not just with ChatGPT, but with creating their own Facebook ad campaigns, which someone with no tech skills never would have done in the past before. But you've got an app. It's like, you know, this woman got like 30 leads for $100. None of them turned into clients, but like it just set everything up. It created the AI copy, it created the AI campaigns, it interacted with her business manager and set up the campaigns and the targeting and all of that. So it's, in many ways, it's making um, marketing more accessible from like the actual tech stuff that, in my experience, a large number of therapists don't want to have anything to do with. I think Google Ads still has a ways to go, but definitely like I've seen profile photos. And again, we can speak to the ethics of that, whether there's an accurate representation or
Hmm.
not. But I've seen therapists, like you look at psychology today, and it's littered with AI photos of therapists, and we're creating websites for them, and I have no problem with it. Just it's another the way that people are jumping in on it, and I think that those are making things easier and making things more affordable, especially for I think for younger therapists and associates and people who don't have larger marketing budgets, and you're stuck in this world of like, all right, everyone tells me I got to go network and go out and meet people, which depending on introvert levels, they may or may not do, but I don't have money to spend, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars on online courses or agencies or whatever. So they have literally like everything they need at their fingertips. And even with free trials for a lot of these things, you can get a lot with free trials. So I'm seeing that just a lot all over the board with SEO, with blog writing, with content research, with ad campaigns set up, I mean, you can create entire websites with AI on Squarespace. GoDaddy, every time I watch a YouTube video, probably because of the nature of my work, it's like always like GoDaddy Arrow, make a website use. I don't yeah, as a web designer, I don't love the quality of them, but at the same time, you can have an entire website done for you in like 2 hours by yourself sitting at your computer.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
amazing. And I think it's really like leveling the playing field in a good way because there's a lot of therapists out there who need clients.
So that's an interesting distinction that you're making that I'm hearing between things that the therapist has already done before, say, write a blog post, so they can maybe write a better quality blog post and do
Mhm.
so a bit faster. And then on the other side, it's enabling people to do certain aspects of marketing that they've not done before or don't necessarily have the skills to do,
Right.
i.e., Facebook ads or something else like that. That's that's pretty interesting because I don't think there's anything else in our lifetime that's come along that has been so empowering in
Hmm.
in those ways.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm all for it. I would love for it to have less of an environmental impact, and
Sure.
there are definitely a lot of concerns that I have that I don't let stop me from embracing this technology, but I do keep conscious awareness of. Um, and we shall
Yeah.
see where it all goes, huh?
Two interesting footnotes on that. So I watched a video on the the biggest AI factory that they're building in Texas,
Hmm.
and what's the name? It's called Stargate, and
Is
it's
that what they're
cost
calling it? That's amazing.
yes, it's Stargate, and it
That is your
is
Stargate.
the cost is $500 billion,
Okay, of
and there's a
course.
lot of investment coming into it. But the interesting thing here is that they actually solved one of the water usage issues to some degree. So this AI facility requires 1 million gallons of water to cool the chips that
Hmm.
power the AI models, right? But they figured out how to do a closed loop system so that 1 million gallons of water doesn't evaporate or get lost and then need to
Okay,
be replaced.
great.
So I was like, okay, so they're at least trying to minimize the environmental
Yeah,
impact. But yes, the power usage and all the other things are still a
sure.
factor.
And everybody's trying to have their solar panels power the factories. Like it is like you see the work that's being done to make it, and it's just there's a lot to consider.
Definitely. So I'm curious about how you're thinking about website design specifically, because you mentioned that people can use tools, various different tools like Squarespace, GoDaddy, et cetera, to build websites relatively quickly. I tested one a little while ago and I built a website just by putting in a Google business listing
Hmm.
for one of my former employees, and it was super quick. The quality honestly was pretty bad, and I had to do a
Hmm.
lot to make it look
Yes.
decent. But I'm sure they're even better now than they were 3 months ago when I did that. But how are you thinking about that in terms of the services that you provide now that these tools are available?
Yeah, I love it. Honestly, like I love it because what I provide and what I've always loved doing is like the artistry of a website, which is not AI. It's like I like to think of a custom web design, which is what we do at Goodman Creatives, as like a blank canvas where you commission a work of art for your practice. And it's not for people just starting out. Like whether I'm doing it or anyone else is doing it, a custom website where like custom illustrations and graphics are being done and it's all the bells and whistles, like they're not cheap. Like there's no way around it. They take it's a ton of time and a ton of background and experience to make that happen. But when you're just licensed, you need a website. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like you need something. And like when I have calls with folks and they have a website, like I hate my website, it's terrible. I don't even want to tell you the URL, but this is what it is. Like I can always genuinely say, like, I want to celebrate that you have a website, that you took the time to make this thing that exists on the web, whether you love it or not, whether you're proud of it or not, you did it. And that is a critical part of the whole marketing puzzle in, 2016, let alone 2025 and beyond. So I think that the fact that people can make their own website, regardless of the quality of it, and have something out there, because a lot of times you need that first website as a stepping stone to even understand what you need in a website.
Before we continue, I want to tell you about my product, Simple Intake. As a longtime practice owner, I always had the same problem. Too many inquiries were slipping through the cracks. So I built the solution. Simple Intake is an all-in-one mental health CRM that actually works. It responds to inquiries in seconds with an AI receptionist, follows up automatically, and schedules consultations 24/7. So your clinicians stay booked, you stop losing new clients, and you finally get your time back. You can see it in action at productivetherapist.com/simple intake. All right, let's get back to the episode.
So to hire someone like us when you're just licensed, you have no website, you have no marketing, it's like it doesn't even make sense a lot of times because like you don't there's not this like they think there's something really amazing that comes from the do-it-yourself model and then seek help. Like I did it, I tried it, I had that experience, and now I know I want you to do it.
That's an excellent point. Yeah. I remember the advice that I got years ago to not spend a ton of money on your first website because you don't know what you don't know. And you don't
Right,
really know what you need or want. But when you have that first website, then you look at it and you go, oh, I wish it was like this.
right,
And then you can go and pay somebody to create
right.
what you call a work of art website, which I think is fantastic because
I,
that's
I yeah.
craftsmanship. Yeah.
Right. I like to think the first website is a sandbox where you just
Hmm.
get to play and you get to like build different things, see how they work, tear them down, try different words, try different images, try on different dream clients and niches as you go through your process. Like, because when you are investing in something bigger, it's like it helps to have an idea at least of something that's going to last 5 to 10 years, not like, oh, yeah, I got
Yeah.
this for a year.
Yeah, that's great. I was remembering that I built my first website. This was like 2007, 2008, so it wasn't even that long ago. but I used a product called iWeb from Apple.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually a physical piece of software that you would install on your computer, and then you could create a simple website and then get it
Yeah,
onto the internet.
yeah.
It was so simple, but I really enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It is fun. I mean, you're preaching to the choir here. I've been making
Yeah.
websites since '96.
You're probably coding them, right?
There were no website builders. It was Notepad, HTML code, and like Photoshop version 1 to put things up there. And it defined that one excuse me, that one high school internet class defined my entire life, my career. I fell in love with coding, and
That's
I
amazing.
always loved coding, but like the internet as this like unlimited canvas where anything's possible, where you can create anything, and it's just blown my mind what's happened in the last 30 years. So, of coming from that to where we are now. And 30 years from now, I'll look back and be like, wow, can't believe I said 2025 blew my mind. That was
Right,
the
right.
dinosaur days of the internet.
That's really something. I think it was an eye-opening moment for me just about 1 month ago when I really started to use Claude specifically for a couple different things. And I mean, all the AI tools are fairly good at coding. Some are better at coding than others. But in an afternoon, in a couple hours, I was able to use Claude to create a really good sales page with pretty nice visuals and a
Mm.
link that I could share. So I was creating a program that I wanted to kind of like launch quickly. And so I created this pretty decent looking sales page. And then I was able to create a back end product in one of my tools that I use. And then within less than 4 or 5 days, it was collecting payments for the program that I created. But the thing that was amazing to me was that I created a sales page with just my spoken words, essentially, because I
Mm.
was using voice
Yeah, yeah.
dictation. And I was like,
My,
that
my
is
best friend for everything.
incredible. That is incredible. So
So
it's really,
yeah, now you got me super curious. Excuse me, what did it connect with? What was the like? How did Claude connect and do the coding, and where did it put the coding?
yeah. So Claude is really quite good at using code to create what they call artifacts, essentially, documents,
Hmm.
um, pages, anything, and anything that it creates, you can then publish, and it just gives you like this long, messy link, and then you can do whatever you want with that. So in this case, I actually took a URL, a domain that I own, and I just pointed that at the messy link,
Huh.
and I was able to just with words create buttons on that page that then link to my actual product. Yeah, it was kind
So the
of
landing page existed inside Claude somewhere.
exactly. Yeah.
Wow,
So at
that's
the bottom
cool.
it said made with Claude or something like that.
Sure, it's
So it
fine.
wasn't like,
You can have your byline, Claude. You got whatever you want. You just made me a
yeah,
website in an hour or a
yeah.
little bit
I mean,
long.
there's times when I want to create something super polished, super on brand,
Right.
but this was the time when I just wanted to make
That's
something that
amazing.
people told me they wanted and then kind of get it out there.
That's
So
amazing.
the speed from idea to execution is much faster now.
Yeah, and I think too, what you just touched on there is such a key part of the LLM experience to me is dictation,
Hmm.
is like speaking to it. Because when you start writing, then you think about punctuation and all these other things. Like you just click the record and just talk to it and just free flow. And it doesn't matter punctuation, it doesn't matter paragraphs, it doesn't matter anything. And it's just more like the more you can talk to it, like you would talk to an employee or a student or someone, like, this is what I need you to do. I don't like this part over here where you said this. And then just the free flow that comes from speaking versus writing, because it taps into a completely different part of your brain, is to me such an important part of interacting with the AI, with the LLM, especially when you're doing copywriting or iteration or brainstorming or things like that. Plus, my mouth goes a lot faster than my fingers, and I type pretty fast.
True. Yeah.
Helps me as well.
It really is an unlock that I just discovered recently. I've been dictating voice to text for a while on my phone in various different places,
Hmm.
but I recently discovered an app called Super Whisper, and there's another one called Whisper Flow, and they're essentially voice AI powered voice dictation apps that
Yeah.
can do a number of things in terms of processing from your voice to the text. Um, and Super Whisper specifically has been fantastic. I'll
Cool.
put some links in the show notes so people can check those out if you want.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, pretty neat stuff.
So people,
Um,
me, I'd like to check it out. I gotta just open
yes,
another tab
yes.
as you're sharing. That's cool.
If you're on a Mac, Super
I am.
Whisper, I think is a good choice. I have a question about, and maybe this was part of your presentation. You can let me know, but how are you talking to therapists about using AI tools to be able to write in their voice and in a way that is consistent with who they are and kind of their brand?
Yeah, this is the biggest challenge because I think as anybody watching this who has experimented with ChatGPT or Claude or any of them knows that you get some pretty nice looking stuff out of the box and it all sounds the same. And as I start to, I look at a lot of therapist websites every day, like as I start to see more and more, and it's repetitive. And the reason that it's repetitive is what ChatGPT, or again, I'm using it synonymously, is what the LLMs are doing is they are just scanning what other people have written, regurgitating it, repackaging it, repurposing it, mixing it back together. They're not making it authentic. There's no voice. So it's all about training. And why I prefer ChatGPT over Claude, I think Claude out of the box is better. I think it's got a little bit more emotional intelligence in its writing, and I like its writing structure, and it uses less M dashes, and
Hmm.
actually remembers when I say don't use M dashes to not use them. Um, but within ChatGPT, you can create custom GPTs. And this to me has been to use an AI favorite word, a game changer, because anytime, so the way that we operate is like anytime a new client comes on board, or like anytime I'm just suggesting this to someone, we have a list of like 10 to 15 questions, and I have a informal, recorded, informational interview of all sorts of like, there's the demographics, who are you, where do you work, what's your license, why do you love being a therapist? What do all your dream clients have in common? How would they describe your bedside manner? What makes you different from other therapists? What are some common objections people have to starting therapy with you specifically? So like, the idea being to like get to the heart and the nuances of what makes that therapist unique, their approach, their style, and like what I was saying before about the difference between dictating and writing. If it's a one-on-one interview, it's a conversation, but you don't need me. Like you can just literally open up Google Meet or Zoom or whatever it is, click record, ask yourself these questions, or even it doesn't even you don't even do that. Just do it on your phone on the voice app, right? Like it doesn't even have to be fancy. You just and then transcribe it. And then all you need to have is that transcription and you open it, you forget even creating a GPT, like start a new chat and you have like 40,000 words of
Hmm.
authentic content that's a flow of thought that good luck you human being in pruning through it and getting what you need out of it. But then the most important command for ChatGPT or any AI is I'm going to insert this document. For the duration of this chat, you're going to be helping me write content, brainstorm a marketing plan, write a landing page, whatever. I want you to only pull from the content I provided. Do not use your general knowledge. Do not go searching elsewhere on the web. Everything you have, if for any reason you are using something that I did not include or you don't know based on what I have, tell me and ask me, and I will tell you what you need to know. So you can do that within a chat and on any of the platforms. But what I like about ChatGPT is then when you build the custom bot all about you, you can actually store that document in the GPT itself.
Right.
You can give it all sorts of other information. So another big part of what we do is I've created they're like 10-page long prompts on how to write empathetic. I have a very specific formula, which in a nutshell is pain point, desired outcome, how therapists can help. And there's a lot more to it than that. But like how to follow this wave and take people on an emotional journey, how to properly use statements that are inclusive, that are bringing the reader in, but not triggering. Like there's a difference between like, you're depressed, you're anxious, your life is terrible, you don't like looking at yourself in the mirror, you need therapy, I can help you. Like, no, you can't. You totally
Hmm.
put me on the defense and I'm gone. Versus like, you know, painting that more as a narrative and using you for the positive. But you would love to wake up and have a great day with your family. You'd love like it's just this shift,
Right.
but left to their own desires, the LLMs are just like you, which is not very effective. So I think that that's another part of it too, is training it on that. And then the last thing I
Right.
would say is giving it writing samples that you are proud of that you have written, not that ChatGPT has written for you, because then it's just going to be repurposing its own content. I say clone of the clone. Um, or the right like the copy machine when you used to make a copy of a copy of a copy and it would get like less quality each time. I feel
Right.
like that's what happens with ChatGPT is like when it's creating something new, it's scanning the internet, half of which is AI generated at this point anyway. So it's like pulling best practices in human writing from AI's understanding of best practices in human writing. Doesn't make sense. So that's why it's incredibly important to have it develop a writing style from your authentic copy that you've written. Even if you don't love the copy, it'll still be able to pick up on the nuances. And then you ask it to create a prompt. Like, how would you evaluate my writing style and create a prompt that I can use in future chats so that you can write exactly like me? And then you just have to remember that if you're opening a new chat and you're not using the GPT, that you have to actually paste that in each time,
Sure.
because the memory, even with ChatGPT's shared memory, it's not every word. It's a general synthesis of what you put in there. Sorry, that was a long answer, but like this is where
No,
I
those are
use it.
good
This is
tips.
where I use it most. And this is really like I'm constantly refining our own internal protocols and how we're doing it and tweaking and optimizing this, because that's really where by giving it the background information and training it on you, that's how, and I'm sure you've probably done some very similar things on your end with your business, with the work you've been doing. Like that's how you get it to not be generic drivel, like
Yeah.
repurposed, reprocessed content that sounds like everyone else, so you can still use it. And the last thing I'll say is I always tell people, no matter how good the AI is, think of AI as a really awesome first or second draft. It's not done until you go in and you truly make it you in a way that only you can. Because otherwise, like it's not going to stand out in the eyes of humans, and it's certainly not going to stand out in the eyes of Google.
I love those tips, and I appreciate you sharing all of it actually,
Yeah.
because those are good step by step things that people can follow. I would say that if you want to turn people off with your marketing and not attract the clients, then just use ChatGPT with no filters,
Yeah.
no custom prompts, because people will see that and go like, "Oh, this is not a real
Right.
person. This is just a generic, you
Right.
know,
Yeah, you're right.
blurb." Yeah, I did exactly what you said there just recently and created my writing style paragraph. That's the
Hmm.
terminology that I heard
Yeah.
somewhere. And then I was actually able to give that to my new podcast editor. And so
Nice.
when she writes the show notes, she uses that prompt before writing the show notes. And then it comes out much more like Uriah writing versus
Yeah,
ChatGPT. And it really does work. It's nice.
absolutely. And especially too, like, I've got a team of seven, and I want some consistency in the knowledge. So the GPT allows my team to go in and just ask questions and get information like, hey, remind me again, how many clinicians are there? Or, what are the main focuses? What's our marketing priority this month? So it's a great way to have that centralized database of information about, you know, about your business, about any business.
Hmm. Definitely. So I'm curious, the presentation that you gave recently on ethical marketing, are
Mhm.
there any other sort of topics or nuggets that you shared that you think would be awesome to
Yeah,
hear?
absolutely. A couple of other ones. So in terms of just like using LLMs, other really amazing things that, I mean, really like what people don't realize is how much of just a brainstorming partner it can be. And just by like getting curious and asking questions like that you don't even know the questions you should ask, just like even asking it, hey ChatGPT, I'm a therapist, just getting started with AI. I don't even know what you can do for me. I'm a solo practice owner in Santa Cruz, California. My dream client is 30 to 40-year-old high functioning adults. Like, what can I even be doing? What should I be doing? And just having this conversation of like an exploration with ChatGPT is really effective, just to figure out what you can, should, would do. You can paste in your website and ask it to be like, how can I make it better? And it can give you like step-by-step framework instructions based on what's also helpful is to like tell it to pretend you are a web design user experience expert. Pretend you are an expert in mental health marketing and search engine optimization, specifically for mental health practices. Now answer these questions from that persona. So that's another way, is like the more like role playing instructions you can give the AI, the better. Another thing too is I mentioned earlier, like, especially newer clinicians, but really every clinician in this day and age of ours should be doing referral building, should be building those referral networks, right? Like, and how do you do it? going to a networking party with other therapists where everyone's got their business card and everyone wants everyone else's clients, but nobody's full is a waste of time. But so what are the creative places that you can reach out to, right? If you're a child psychologist, like who are the doulas and the midwives? Who are the, right? It's not just like everyone's like, oh, go to the pediatrician, but like, who are the other people? Who are the, if you're, again, I'll just sort of, I got my two kids, so I'm thinking about like, who are the, the teen sports coaches? Who are the, we got this place, June Bugs. It's like a little kids gymnasium with a ball pit and like the little spinning ropes for them to go on. So like, who's the owner of that? Those are the
Mm,
types of things that like, I've been doing this for a long time. They pop into my head somewhat naturally, but who are they and who are the local people? Not only can ChatGPT help you brainstorm out of the box referral building, it can help you come up with a plan of what the email is that you can send them, how you find them. They can give you a list of people and their offices. Like I like to say when people reach out to someone cold, like, hey, I'll buy you a coffee at, and don't just say like, I'll buy you a coffee. Like take the extra time, pre-AI, be like, Google their address, Google coffee shop near them on
right.
Yelp or something like that. Find a coffee shop. Here you can just be like, all right, ChatGPT, find me the nearest non-Starbucks next to this person and add it into my email. It can write the email for you where it like actually looks at their website and puts in something personal about their practice. And again, as I said before, I still really believe both from a effectiveness and a ethical standpoint, like make sure you've actually vetted what they're sending, who they're coming up with the ideas for. Don't just copy and paste. So I think that's really great. And it can also help you come up with a plan to follow up, a plan to track those referrals, because referrals aren't just one-time reach out, the end. Like referrals, like any relationship, must be nurtured over time. So I think that's, and like things like that, like anything that you've ever heard, any marketing coach, any marketing podcast, any YouTube video, anything that a marketing person has ever talked about, ChatGPT can help you brainstorm and come up with it. And with all of that said, ChatGPT and AI models lie. They call them hallucinations. But they're wrong all the time. So you cannot, at face value, just be like, oh, AI told me, must be true. Like always fact check whatever
Humans
they're
still
saying.
required.
Yes, especially with SEO. Like with SEO, if you're using something like ChatGPT, ChatGPT doesn't have access to the $1,000 paid tools. It doesn't have access to SEMrush,
Sure.
to Surfer, to Ahrefs, to Moz, to any of these things. So it's just guessing what it thinks the keywords are. And I know a lot of people optimize their websites for SEO using only ChatGPT, but that's not using actual
Interesting.
data.
Hmm.
So, like, as a tip, if you're looking for something relatively affordable to help you get the real keywords people are searching for, I like Surfer. Surfer SEO. There's a free Chrome plugin that can show you like what searches having nothing to do with AI, like the search volume and the competitiveness of search terms. And for like $100 a month, and I don't know exactly, they have different plans. It's got a little editor where it can do AI generating the copy, where it'll fill in the keywords for you, where you can write it and make sure you use, collaborative 13 times, symptoms 7 times, and has a checklist as you write it. It fills it, it like goes like, okay, now this has been 3 out of 7. Now this has been 4 out of 7. It updates it live for you. So I think that that's a great one that a lot of folks, I recommend it regularly. Like if you're not ready for full on marketing website support, but you're like, you understand the very critical importance of SEO, I think that's at least for the content side. There's a lot more to SEO than just content, but it's a big part and it's
Yeah.
helpful.
So is that Surfer, Surfer,
Yeah, it's
SEO?
surfer, like I'm going surfing here in Santa
Right.
Cruz, SEO.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yep.
That's great. I'll check that out too. Yeah, as I'm listening to you talk, I already know this, but it's clicking in my brain that you can just choose a marketing strategy, whatever it might be, paid ads or content marketing or email marketing, whatever it is. And you can use AI tools from basically start to finish to do all the things that you need to do.
Yep.
And then you add your secret
Mhm.
sauce, which is your personality, your tastes, and
Yeah.
your sort of messaging
Yeah.
and brand. That's amazing.
Yeah. It is. And it also can be overwhelming because all of a sudden it's like you can do everything and where to start. So that's also a conversation you can have with ChatGPT with the AI tool. Is like, where do I
Where
even
should I
start?
start? Yeah.
I've got 2 hours a week realistically that I can dedicate to my own marketing. Like, how can I best optimize my 2 hours?
Yeah. So on that point, like when people, let's say if someone's listening to this and they're, interested, amazed, but overwhelmed,
Mhm.
and they're thinking to themselves like, I want to do all that, but I don't want to do all that, and maybe I shouldn't do all that. What are your recommendations for how a therapist can find a company like yours that can use these amazing tools to give
Sure.
them better marketing results without them having to go ahead and learn all the things?
Yeah. You know, I think that there's a lot of different routes you can go. Like a Goodman Creatives, I believe in like a contained ecosystem, like the Apple ecosystem, where everything plays nice with each other and everything's under one roof. So that's the model that I use. Um, but whomever it is, like there's lots of folks out there. I've been working with therapists for 20 years. In the beginning, there was nobody else. And now there's a lot of other folks out there. So I genuinely encourage people to like see who's there, use the productive therapist directory, but make sure that whomever it is you work with has expertise in mental health specifically, because there are so many nuances to mental health marketing that are just missed when you hire someone on Fiverr or Upwork or something like that, or you just go with a generalist agency that maybe has worked with a couple therapists in the past, but like there's just so much that's so different in terms of the compliance. Like we don't have access as mental health marketers to the same data that you have if you're working with plumbers or contractors or anybody that's not worried about PHI. Like Google, and it's
True.
it's hidden because of HIPAA, because in an effort to be, you know, whatever data, believe it or not, Google does actually hide some data and not just use the data, or at least not show it to us. So right, so like these are like sort of nuances. Like how do you work with that in this world where you don't have access to everything? What are the workarounds? So just making sure that whomever it is you're working with has an understanding of the mental health industry, the nuances of mental health marketing, and you cannot ignore the fact that things are changing faster than ever before. And like, Google is still got, I think it's like 94% market share on search in the United States, but a lot of searches are coming from ChatGPT. A lot of
Right.
people are now, like especially younger generations, are using ChatGPT in place of Google for having a therapist. No comment on that, and for finding their therapists. So it's like, how does anybody in this industry keep not just up with, but ahead of what's coming? Being aware of all the changes, and how can we constantly be adapting what we are doing as mental health marketing professionals to stay ahead of the curve? Because with the accessibility and the explosion of these tools, it means that there's more competition than ever. I mean, I think I saw there's like 22 the population of American USA based therapists is going to expand by 22% in the next few years. And I think so much of that was like the COVID bubble, where everybody's like, oh, it's the greatest business to be in ever because every therapist in the street is full. And there was no Headway, and there was no Alma, and there was barely Talkspace and BetterHelp and all of that. And now it's just a whole different landscape. And you better believe that the Silicon Valley folks are staying ahead and using every SEO or every
That is true.
AI technology in their toolkit. So it's like, how does proverbial David forget Slay, just keep up with Goliath? Like he'll never slay him. He'll
Mm-hmm.
never show up in
Mm-hmm.
position one. Psychology today will always be there. But how do we get you into position three and keep you there?
Definitely.
That's the challenge.
That's good. Yeah, and if somebody's interviewing a freelancer or an agency that handles marketing, what kind of questions should they ask about like how do you use AI in your services?
I think that's really just the best question. Keeping
Yeah,
it open-ended for us. Like, how do you use AI in your services? Um, how do how much of it is AI and how much of it is you? I think like it's important to know, like, are you just going to publish 100% AI blog posts or web pages on my thing, or is there like a human being going to work on it? Like, that's the biggest thing, is like, is there human oversight? And how much will I, the person holding the interview, how much involvement is the therapist going to have, right? Like the way that we operate is we use AI to write blog posts. Like I'm not going to spend 2 days writing a blog post that really exists for the sake of keeping Google happy. But what we do is we let AI do the first draft, we do a draft of it, then we pass it over to the therapist. Like, here's what it is. We've optimized this as best as possible, and I would rather you make it authentic to you, and we go from like an 85 percent of using keywords down to a 70% because Google will actually prefer less keyword optimization and more authenticity, which it calls EEAT, experience, expertise, authority, and trust. And that comes
Ah,
only from lived experience, which can only be something unique added to the conversation, which only you, the therapist, can add. So I think that's important too, is like how much involvement on the therapist side. And if it's an SEO agency too, it's like how are you ensuring EEAT in the content you're creating? Because otherwise it's not going to rank.
I didn't even know about that. That's super interesting. Yeah, Google is smart enough to know,
It
and
is.
certainly a lot of the algorithms are smart enough to know, oh, this is AI generated versus this is
Yeah.
most likely human generated. Wow,
And
that's so
Google doesn't
interesting.
care, to be clear. Like in their most recent
Yeah.
updates, like at first, like no AI content, no, but they've revised it. Like we don't care who writes the content and how it gets written, as long as it's providing value, right? Like at the end of the
Okay.
day, Google wants to know how can it provide the best answer to the question being asked, has the best chance of being what the person needs. That's
Sure.
what Google's job is. I mean, Google's job is to make tons and tons of money. But Google, the search engine, once you get past the ads and all the other stuff, its goal is to best answer your question. And it's going to do that by like, does this answer add some, take what I already know to be true, because Google has what it's called its knowledge web or its knowledge graph. And does it know that? And is it adding something new that I can also corroborate as being true?
Right.
And was it written
Right.
by a person? Is there a byline? Is it like, does that
Yeah.
byline link to a WebMD or a Psychology Today and a LinkedIn profile? Like these are all the signals that Google in its massive AI brain are looking at.
Yeah. That's great. Thanks for sharing all that. So for people who are listening and like I said before, might be a little bit overwhelmed and are just realizing like, hey, I actually need help with this and I don't really think it should be just me, even just me plus ChatGPT, and they want to use a company like Goodman Creatives. Tell us a little bit about your services and what you can offer.
Sure. Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it. Yeah, Goodman Creatives really like I can give you a bullet list of all the things we do, but really at the end of the day, we are full service and our goal is to get you full, keep you full with clients who are able to and excited to pay the rates that you're charging, whatever that rate may be, whether it's insurance, $400 an hour, everything in between, right? Like the goal is to fill your caseload with a steady stream of clients you love. Well, we take care of the tech stuff. We take care of the Google ads, the SEO, the web design. We use data at every step to make sure that, especially with Google ads, that we're spending your money. Like it's your actual like money. Like we want to tangibly get you a return on investment. So that's really what it is we're your marketing partner. As I mentioned earlier, everything is included in one place. I don't have like a la carte services because I believe that too many cooks in the kitchen causes problems. And there's so much overlap between all the different things that that's just, that's the model we have. And it works really well for those who want that level of service. White glove service. There's also a community aspect to it. Twice a week, marketing coaching community calls led by me, where you can ask me anything about your campaigns or just about how to use AI or anything in general. I have an online course on how to write authentic copy, both the old-fashioned way and with AI, how to make a website. It's not trying to make you a marketing expert. It's just trying to basically give you everything you need to create an amazing website that connects with your dream client, inspires them to reach out, and eventually leads to them being a paying client. So that's kind of a high level overview, a longish elevator pitch, if you will.
That's wonderful. I like it. The white glove work of art marketing service.
There you go. Yes, and at the heart of everything we do are websites, right? Like, yes, we're full
Right.
service, but like I said, I've been website guy for 30 years. That's always been my true passion, and we make really stunning websites to be, just humbly, but also like modestly, like they're really nice. I love them. I'm really proud of the websites we create. And so if you're looking for a really high level website that is something that is going to stand out in a sea of AI generated websites.
Hmm.
That's what we do. And that is the one standalone service that we offer
Okay.
is we do offer standalone web design services.
That's perfect. Thanks so much for sharing that. And thanks for the work that you've been doing for all these years for therapists. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So
Yeah.
can you hear that ring or is Zoom?
Barely. I heard it barely. Yeah.
Let's reject that call. I have my do not disturb sign on, but my
Right. It
phone
happens.
overrode it. Well, I
It happens.
appreciate you and thank you for the chat. This has been fun.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
All right.
That's it for today. Thanks so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and hit the subscribe button to make sure you never miss an episode. If you're looking for more personalized help, you can reach us through productivetherapist.com. Thanks so much for listening. We are Productive Therapist, and this is the podcast that helps therapists get more done and have more fun.